Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Monday Motivation Spotlight, our weekly Monday Motivation Spotlight, where we have motivation, inspiration, and every week we bring to you a new inspiring speaker, someone who is making a difference in Israel. For those of you that are new, I'm Lesley Kaplan, and every single week we bring you someone inspiring. This was started just after October 7th, with the aim of building our country by giving exposure and highlighting and spotlighting either business owners or nonprofits in Israel, and at the same time giving us the inspiration and the motivation that we all desperately needed. And 21 months later, we're still ongoing, and our Monday Motivation Spotlight is also ongoing, and Bizrat Hashem will be continuing even once our war ends. So what do we have today for you? I'm going to spotlight somebody who I've actually known from before I made Aliyah. She didn't really know who I was, but I knew who she was. Let me spotlight her. And at the same time, let me just say thank you, of course, and as always, to our sponsors, Nardis Advisors, as well as to Eggert & Cohn Insurance. All right, here we go. Here we see Beth Katzman, the famous Beth Katzman.
Oh,
Beth,
God.
good morning.
Morning.
Beth, actually, as I say, I knew her from South Africa. She maybe didn't know me, but I knew her, some of her siblings. We were in the same B'nai Akiva shul together and made Aliyah at a similar time. So Beth was the younger sister, so I knew who she was. So this younger sister has made a name for herself. She made Aliyah 27 years ago from South Africa, and she runs an independent headhunting business where she helps Israeli B2B and B2C, that's business to business and business to consumer. If you didn't know what that is, software companies finding senior marketing and talent and sales roles. Before she made Aliyah, which is also interesting, Beth, so I hope you're going to share a little bit about it, was that she was representing music big names in South Africa, in the music industry, promoting them. So we'd love to hear, if we have a little bit of time, also about that. So welcome to our show. Please share with us a little bit about your life, what brought you to make Aliyah, anything special, interesting, you know, whether it's challenging or inspiring about your life here, and tell us about your profession, some of the things related to it.
Okay, so firstly, hi everyone, and thanks for joining us. So I'll give you a little synopsis of my background. I have a drama degree. I'm actually a theatre and education teacher. I basically worked in the South African music industry for about 8 years. I worked for a company called Gallo Records, the biggest recording company in Africa. I promoted black music or crossover music for about 8 or 9 years in the height of apartheid. So I've had an extremely colorful life. My life in South Africa involved working at music festivals with 40,000 black people and 3 white women promoting black music. So it was very, very challenging, very exciting times, and I climbed up the corporate ladder, and eventually I realized, apartheid. I was very involved with, the situation in the country, what was going on, and I realized that I couldn't make a life for myself in South Africa. So I decided very spontaneously, which is what I normally am, that I'm going to go and work in the States for world music in Boston. So I had everything organized, but before that, I decided I'm going to make a detour into Israel to visit my brother. And I had lots of friends here at the time. I'm not sure if a few of you are online at the moment, but I came to Israel, and let me tell you, it was no joke. I don't know if it was, I'm not sure what type of experience it was, but I was so blown away by everything. I couldn't speak the language, not one word of Hebrew. I came here, I worked for a huge music promoter. We were bringing U2 to Israel, and I worked there for about a month. It was a total disaster. I knocked on his door a few times because he was the owner of the company, never opened the door. We worked in a little office. There was a little Israeli dog who couldn't speak any other language but Hebrew. And every time I walked in, the dog tried to bite me. And every time I knocked on his door, he wouldn't open. And eventually somebody said to me, if you've got something to say to him, walk in. That was after about a month. So I walked in, and then I started crying, and he said to me, look, it's not working out. You just don't have what we're looking for. So I left there totally deflated. I was actually on my way to America. Oh, I forgot to finish the story. I was on my way to the States to work in world music, and decided to stop in Israel for a short time. In the meantime, I was working as well. So to cut long story short, I met my husband very shortly after I wasn't making aliyah. I came to visit, and the rest is basically history. You know, he's a great Zionist, and you know, he said he's not going anywhere. And you know, I'd never thought of Israel as an option for me. It never crossed my mind. I was very into my career. You know, the big thing for me was to work in music, to promote Africa. And there I was in Israel, and you know, being a spontaneous person that I am, I started working in high tech as a copywriter, which I must tell you, I was absolutely useless, but it was a way into high tech. And from there, I worked my way up I worked in a very big high tech agency, a high tech company, sorry, in marketing. I was there for a few years, and then I woke up one morning after I'd had, I think, my third kid, that I want to work on my own, and I started my own branding and design agency with a partner. I had that for a few years, working mainly in the high-tech industry. That's really where I got to know the market and people, and I met tons of companies, tons of clients. So I slowly built up, you know, a database. And after, I think it was I'd had my fourth kid, I decided that's it, I'm done with that. And I thought, what about, you know, becoming a headhunter? I've got so many connections. People are always asking me, you know, to connect them with companies. And that's when I started my own headhunting business about 14, 15 years ago. I don't come from HR. I don't come from, you know, that type of background. I come from the fact that I'm a schmoozer, and I know how to talk to people. I know where to find people, and I know how to create relationships. So I've been doing that for 15 years. I must be honest, the market is, you know, has evolved. It's very tough. It's not a simple market. Anyone who's made aliyah can tell you, you know, we have lots of trials and tribulations, adjusting to the culture in this country, you know, adjusting to the mindset. But I think over the years, I've become like an Israeli. I have a lot of chutzpah. I don't care. I've got very little filtering. If any of you know me who are online, I say it like it is. And I think most importantly, it's just about, you know, survival and being happy, you know, taking each day as it comes. And, you know, what we've gone through since the 7th of October is I'm not sure what you know, what the word is, or what you would call it, but it's been a total, for me personally, it's been, you know, with kids in the army, it's been a total sort of different mindset, trying to adapt, trying to be resilient in a very tough market space. But coming from high tech, I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. I do see, you know, the baby boom. When I say baby boom, I mean the tech boom. You know, I think after this war, there's going to be huge innovation, especially when it comes to drones, when it comes to defense, when it comes to cyber. We are already leaders in that field. Just to go a little bit into the tech space at the moment, you know, talking about AI taking over the world, taking over everything in our lives. I think at the end of the day, AI will take over a lot, but in terms of my business, you still need the human touch. You still need that element of, you know, the creation, talking to companies. They want to see you interact. That's critical. So yes, AI will take over maybe the second step or the third step, but you still need, you know, to sign contracts. You still need to understand each other, understand. And I think it's in any business, where your client's coming from, you know, what's going through their heads. I mean, ChatGPT doesn't know that. I've asked ChatGPT a lot of personal questions. They just couldn't answer. It doesn't know enough. So maybe in 10 years' time, things will be different, and AI's, you know, moving at a dramatic pace. If you talk about writers, I know that, I think it was Amy who asked a question before the session started, how will AI impact, you know, writers? At the end of the day, you're still going to have to create your base, which is going to be, I think a human is going to have to do that. Thereafter, AI can churn out. But I can tell you now, I look at cover letters and resumes, and I see the same stunts all the time, the same IE type of thing. So the more you work in it, the more you realize how people are using AI for everything, which isn't a good thing either. So that's my story. Just to add a few personal things. I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 currently in the army. I've got 1 traveling at the moment. I've got a dog who's completely senile and drives me ballistic. But I can tell you one thing, since the 7th of October. She has played an integral part in my life. I walk with her, I talk with her. Just having that companion that doesn't respond and doesn't talk back. But I think in terms of having an animal, it's been a critical time for me. So that's me in a nutshell. If I've sort of jumped the gun or you've got questions or you need to know anything, please ask me.
Funny enough, when you mentioned about your animals, I saw somebody was, I remember who it was, but I won't mention her name. Somebody was mentioning on Facebook that, the whole story of Pavlov and responding. And she said her dogs don't need a Pavlov. The moment they hear a siren or they hear the alert, they run into the safe room before the people even. How are your animals handling, the sirens and everything? Do they do the same thing? Do they draw you into the mamad?
She's the first one in the mamad waiting in her position.
Yeah, that's quite funny. So that's exactly what I saw with somebody else, that they said that they do that.
Right. And another thing,
Mm-hmm.
another thing I just wanted to add, that this war we're talking about since the 7th of October, I think this war has also created a lot of not only resilience, but a lot of, suddenly everyone's questioning, well, where am I going? What am I doing? What opportunities are out there? And I'm a great believer, and I went to a talk the other day about hope. And we have to have hope. We have to have hope for our kids. We have to have hope for our futures. And I'm a very positive person, and I do see a shift that will happen in the market. I do see lots of investment in this country. I do see, high-tech companies, selling out. And even with the situation, we've got the brains in this country. We've got the chutzpah. And I really see a great future in this country. There's a lot of grief. We're all grieving. I think PTSD hasn't really kicked in yet as a country, but with all the grief and all the sadness, there is still a lot of positivity, and I see it through my business.
Right, definitely. I think we're all seeing that. And besides what you've mentioned about the war and the future and technology that's going to probably will likely boost afterwards, what other major changes have you seen with people? Have you found people now, as you said, we suddenly coming to realization, well, life is so important and other things. People now changing careers, people approaching you because they suddenly had this aha moment that the war got them to think differently?
Look, I think people aren't there yet because we're still in the midst of it. But again, I'm talking about, when this war ends, I definitely see I see lots of opportunities. I think there's still, there's still lots of companies hiring in this country. Again, you've got to look at, the investment in this country. There's a lot of money coming into this country. I think the biggest developments we're going to see are in, security and defense and anything to do, relating to military. That's where we're going to see huge growth, and it will create lots of opportunities for people in this country. But we have to have patience. We have to have patience, and I see it slowly changing, but we have to have patience. Even if we're resilient, we have to have patience.
Right, absolutely. And we actually have a question about what do you recommend for finding the suitable position for somebody with 20 plus years experience? That there are a lot of junior roles available, but not so many intermediate or senior roles.
Right. So I was actually on a LinkedIn chat earlier exactly about this. What happens when you reach 45, 50, 55? Well, either you have to reinvent yourself, and look, in terms of technique, I'm talking again high tech. That's my space. That's what I know. In terms of, I think writers, especially technical writers, although a lot of people say to me that AI will take over, I don't believe that's the case, because to come up with the raw materials, and again, it's that, it's that human element when it comes to content writers. People say to me, oh, AI will take over. Well, they might eventually take over, but again, you still need that human touch, because, I can see when people are writing with AI, you can feel it. But it's definitely, I still believe there's that human element which is critical to whatever we do. It makes no difference what, robots aren't going to take over the world. You still need that human touch. I think if you're in your 40s to your 60s, the market's tough. You have to reinvent yourself. What can you do, that will help you move forward? Again, I think I always say to people, try the technical writing route. You know, the courses are easy. Well, it's an easy course to do. It's not long. And as an English speaker, and if you're older, there's definitely opportunities, as well as teaching English, which is obviously the natural, you know, the natural direction. But
Right, absolutely. And we have some writers here in the group too, you know, that I know that a concern has been, well, will our
right.
jobs be replaced? I guess many of us can say that with a lot of
Well,
things, but
right.
that's when we've got to use our strengths and combine
right,
it with our AI to make that
right.
even better approach, as you
Right.
said.
And I think most importantly, go and do courses. Go and empower yourself. You know, I spoke to someone the other day, he must have been in his 50s, and he said to me, he's an AI power user. And that's what companies want. The minute you put on your resume or your LinkedIn that you're an AI power user, and these are the tools that you're using, and these are the apps that you work with, you go into a completely different category, no matter what age you are, because there's such demand for AI capabilities. So I think empower yourself, you know, no matter what age you are, go and do courses, see what you can offer companies. You know, it's no use sitting and waiting for companies to approach you. Put out videos, put out blogs, you know, profile yourself. I do that. I try and profile myself, and I post positions all the time. That's why some of you know me, because I try and expose myself as much as possible, which that's what it's all about. They want to see that you're active on digital, that you're active on, you know, the social networks. That's critical. So
Right, absolutely,
I think,
absolutely. If someone
I
doesn't
think,
exist on social media, then that's when you question, you know,
well,
who are they?
that it's like someone saying to me, I'm a content writer. Well, where's your portfolio? What does it mean you're a content writer? I don't see anything online. You know, you send me a resume, but there's no portfolio. So it doesn't make sense. And, you know, show your writing, be proud of what you've done, and try and reinvent yourself in different ways. You know, try go online. Teach yourself skills that you can use online, that your AI will benefit you as opposed to hinder you.
Right, absolutely. So let's just talk about, you mentioned for those that are interested in doing some courses. Are you talking about things like small, short courses like LinkedIn Learning or proper certified courses? Can you give a few examples that you suggest to your
Well,
clients?
I know that if you do, there's excellence, there's grok. Again, it depends what field you're in. But you know, if you let's say you're in the legal field, okay, there are definitely AI tools focused on the legal side. You've got to go into ChatGPT. You've got to go into any of these apps and feed it information. This is what I'm looking for. Tell me, you know, the top 10 courses, now that you know my personality, because you fed in so much information to ChatGPT. Can you suggest courses that would benefit me, that are cheap, that are 1 month, that are 2 months, whatever information you can give it, and it will shoot out courses for you. You want to do face-to-face in Israel, it will give you courses face-to-face in Israel. So, I mean, AI is an incredible tool. You should be using it. You should be type in how to find a job for a 50, 60-year-old. This is my, you know, this is my skill set. This is what I bring to the table. What do you suggest I do? And you'll be amazed at what feedback it will give you. Another thing I suggest, you know, talking to career counselors, you know, trying to understand what's going on in the market. Read Calculist. Go into Startup Nation. You know, not Startup Nation, sorry. I'm just trying to think of the site. Is it Startup Nation Central? I can't think at the moment. But go into you know, sites that educate you and help you understand what's going on in the market. But again, I think it doesn't really matter what age you are. We all need to reinvent ourselves and move with the times. Because if you don't move with the times, you will be stuck. And again, it's profiling yourself, creating an image for yourself, blogging, podcasting, visibility. If you're 50 years old and you're a content writer, send to companies a portfolio, a visual portfolio. You don't have to show your face. This is what you're all about. This is what you've done with AI. These are the courses you've done. And you'll be surprised at the feedback and at the response you'll get.
Right, absolutely. And also important to know with AI, maybe you want to talk about it, how it's got different tiers and different levels. That don't just accept the first answer they give you, you know,
Yeah,
take it
yeah.
deeper.
Right. So
Maybe you
I
want to
think
talk about that a little bit.
I think a big thing with any sort of AI tool, the more information you give it about yourself and about, what your ideologies are and what the kinder you are to it, the more it's going to shoot out all the information that you want to hear. So, I mean, I use AI, I use various different tools. And I usually, I'm always searching for companies, or I'm searching for candidates, and I use AI tools for that. But again, they're AI tools specifically for your field, which you can go into, and you don't have to do a year course. Do quick, easy courses and then start using it live. It's all on the fly. Use what you've learned, adapt it, give ideas, share your thoughts on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a very powerful business tool. LinkedIn is my mouthpiece. I think I've got about 20,000 followers. You need to build up your profile. In today's market, build up your profile. I don't use TikTok. TikTok's a huge tool. Instagram, post. You need to be visible. That's really what it's all about. And I think one of you said, maybe it was Amy, that she knows me from years ago, or people will say to me, well, oh, I know you because I see you on social media. You're there all the time. Actually, I'm not. I'm really only I'm only on LinkedIn a lot. So that's why people think that they see me a lot. But I try and create visibility and, keep in tune with the times.
Right, absolutely. Give us a few examples besides ChatGPT that everyone knows, or besides Gemini. Which are the main
Well,
other
Jim,
tools? I know it
Grok,
depends on your profession. Do you want to
there's
just throw out
also
a few names that you recommend of
there's
different tools?
also there's Grok, there's the other one. Now of course I've gone totally blank. I just want to see the other one that's very good. I just want to have a look at where I've put it, that I use quite a bit. Perplexity.
Right, right.
Again, I'm talking marketing purposes. Now, another thing, you don't want to be inundated with all these AI tools, all these AI apps, because you'll get completely swallowed up and lost. So, I use, and then, I go into, I use, whether it's Monday, Octopost, but in terms of, AI tools, I think you've got to choose tools that suit what you do. Perplexity is a tool that I use because it's for my type of business. So each one has their own different preference, and they have to do research. Like everything, you have to do research.
Right, right, absolutely, for sure. Beth, moving a little bit away from the AI now, now that you've been in Israel for 27 years, how do you
Wow.
compare
Yeah.
the Israel of today from when you made aliyah and your expectations? Would we have become a country like this, despite the war and despite everything else? We're just so
Yeah,
advanced in everything. It's
yeah,
like a
we would.
world of difference to, 77
Wow.
years ago when we were born.
Right. Look, when I came to Israel, you know, we didn't really use cell phones, and it was, everything was just it was so much simpler. But I can tell you now, the startup nation started when I eventually made Aliyah. We've always been that high-powered small little country with huge dreams and huge hopes. And for me, I think if we don't have hope, then we shouldn't be here, because all we can really have is hope and how we can move forward as a country. And in terms of changed, oh, dramatically. I've seen Israel, take a stand on the global market, and whether, again, everything comes back, starting out in the army, these kids go to Shmonem time, they go to all these top units. From there, all these unicorns are created. We just have to look at Wiz, which, one of the biggest purchases in the height of the war. So that says how we've, no matter what, we're resilient. We are very resilient.
We're
And
definitely a resilient nation. Absolutely.
right.
Right. Okay. Moving forward, think about what you said. You were on your way to America and you by chance came here, met your husband. Maybe I shouldn't ask this, any regrets? Could you see yourself being in any other country right now?
No, I just wish my Hebrew was better, but I could never leave this country. I think, as a Jew, and as a career woman, I think I've worked so hard, in my profession, and it hasn't been an easy road. It's been a very, very tough journey. And, but I've got Israeli kids. I couldn't see myself in any other country. And I think people who know me from 25, 30 years ago would probably think, oh my God, I was a very wild child, very independent, working in an industry, a crazy industry in South Africa, very dangerous. As I mentioned, the height of apartheid, involved in riots and stone throwing and you name it. I was involved in it. So, and I mixed a lot with Black people, and that was taboo at the time. That was my life. That's the music I promoted. So, I think if I can reinvent myself, anyone can. And I'm the type of person that can wake up tomorrow morning and start a new business. So I
Well,
think
you're
my
helping
message,
other people get jobs and start a business.
I think most importantly, empower yourself, no matter what age you are, think of ways to reinvent yourself and have hope. Have hope.
Have hope, absolutely. And those are great 2 words to end it. Beth, wow, you're certainly fun. You're vibrant. I knew we'd have a fabulous time
Woo!
today. Okay, absolutely. I knew we'd have a fabulous time today. And actually, I want to just say, I won't mention her name, but how did I reconnect with Beth? Yet I had seen you online. I knew you from before through your siblings in South Africa. But recently, I went to a 60th birthday party, and I see our mutual friend is here right now. Hello, you know who you are. Let's not embarrass her and mention names. But that's how I actually reconnected to Beth. So thank you. Through you, Beth is now a guest on our show. So Beth, thank you. Thank you so much for being a guest on our Monday Motivation Spotlight. We wish you much hatzlacha in your
Thank you.
endeavors, in helping people find jobs in Israel, connecting, making our country even bigger and more special than what it is. How can people connect with you if anyone would like to reach you?
So the best way to connect with me is, I think, either through LinkedIn, because that's really my main business tool. Or I've got a website, or you
Just to
find
Google
me.
Beth Katzman and they'll
Find
find you.
me. Right. They
Right,
should find me.
absolutely. All right, fabulous. Definitely. You definitely do have a presence, which is the
Ah,
name of the game, as what you've said. All right.
thank
Thank
you.
you again. Thank you to everyone for joining and for watching our Monday Motivation Spotlight. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is your home for weekly inspiration, where we focus and spotlight on a new person, an Israeli individual, business owner, or nonprofit making a difference in Israel. Thank you once again to our sponsors, to Nardis Advisors, as well as to Egan & Cohen Insurance. You've been listening to the Monday Motivation Spotlight. We also have 2 other events this week, not related to the Monday Motivation Spotlight. One, if you live in the Tanya area or surroundings and you're a person in business, then we welcome you tomorrow. We're having our in-person meeting. And then on Wednesday, we're having an online meeting, Boost Your Business, how to work smarter rather than harder. So you're welcome to join us for that. If you haven't yet registered, go to lesleykaplan.com and you'll find out information. Thank you again. I'm Israel Chai. May we have a quiet, safe week, thinking of our
Amen.
soldiers, thinking of our hostages. And thank you again, Beth, for being a fabulous
Thank you.
guest. See you
Thank
next
you.
week. All the best. You're welcome. Bye-bye.